EB-2 NIW for STEM professionals in 2026, denials, approval crisis, and EB-1A backup plan. Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and decode the exact framework STEM professionals absolutely need to navigate today's wildly shifting U.S. immigration system. Look, if you're an engineer, a researcher, a data scientist, or a tech lead, you might literally be sitting on a gold mine of eligibility for a U.S. green card and not even realize it. But the rules of the game, they've changed dramatically. So today, we're going to break down the exact code you need to succeed. First, just look at this staggering volume, 66,276. That is the number of EB-2 National Interest Waiver or NIW petitions received in fiscal year 2025. To put that crazy number into perspective, that's triple the volume from just 3 years ago. We are looking at an absolutely unprecedented surge in applications. And as you're going to see, that surge changes everything about how you need to apply. And guess who's driving this massive wave? STEM professionals from India and China alone make up roughly 40% of all recent EB-2 NIW approvals. You've got India at 15.1% and China at 24.8%. So yeah, it's incredibly clear that STEM professionals are the absolute engine behind this whole category right now. All right, here's our agenda. We're going to walk you step by step through the exact playbook to win. We'll start with the EB-2 approval crisis, then unlocking the STEM advantage, anchoring to federal priorities, why eligible petitions fail, the strategy for India, and finally, the global backup plan. Let's hit section 1, the EB-2 approval crisis, where record volume meets record denials. Here is the brutal reality. Simply having STEM credentials, it's just not enough anymore. In the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2025, the approval rate crashed to a historic low of 35.66%. Think about what that actually means. For the first time in modern immigration history, more of these petitions were denied than approved. We're operating in a space where the majority of recent applications are literally failing. You just can't throw your resume at the wall and hope it sticks anymore. Moving on to section 2, unlocking the STEM advantage and why it's the natural fit for NIW. Okay, some good news here. If we compare a successful STEM career to the legal framework, the alignment is honestly incredible. Now, the EB-2 NIW wasn't created exclusively for STEM, but it was practically built for the way STEM careers naturally function. To win an NIW, you have to pass what the government calls the Dhanasar Prong 2, basically proving you're well positioned to advance your endeavor. So what does the government want to see as proof? Peer-reviewed papers, NIH grants, independent citations, and peer review activity. Now think about that. You don't have to invent special legal documents. Those are just the normal, everyday outputs of doing your job well in a STEM field. Your natural career milestones translate perfectly into the exact evidence the government demands. Let's jump into section 3, anchoring to federal priorities, or what I like to call the evidence map. This is your ultimate cheat code for surviving this new, highly critical adjudication environment. To win, you absolutely must transform your national importance argument from a subjective claim into an objective fact. How do you do that? By anchoring your work to explicit federal priorities. For instance, if you work in AI or semiconductors, you don't just say, well, AI is the future. No, you explicitly cite the $52 billion CHIPS and Science Act. In biomedical sciences, map your work directly to specific goals in the NIH strategic plan. If you're in clean energy, you anchor to the DOE strategic vision and the Inflation Reduction Act. The goal is to point the adjudicator to a named, numbered, official government published priority document. It changes everything. Let's move to section 4, why eligible petitions fail and the structural traps you need to avoid. I really want you to stop and ask yourself this question. If STEM outputs naturally fit the legal requirements and you can map your work to federal priorities, why are highly qualified STEM professionals getting denied more than ever right now? The hard truth is the failures are rarely about a lack of talent. They are almost always what we call evidence architecture failures. Let's dive right into these fatal traps. First up, describing an occupation instead of a program. If you just say, I'm going to work as a software engineer, you will fail. You have to name a specific technical program aligned with a federal priority. Second trap, self-citations. Look, USCIS will check Google Scholar. You can't just cite yourself 15 times and hope they don't notice. It proves absolutely nothing about your field impact. Third, relying purely on recommendation letters from your direct boss or lab mates. The government naturally discounts those because of obvious bias. You need independent experts who know you strictly through your published work. Fourth, arguing generic national importance, which remember, we just solved with those federal anchors. And finally, treating the actual waiver part, Dhanasar Prong 3, as a formality. You have to explicitly argue why it benefits the U.S. to waive the standard employer sponsorship specifically for you. All right, Section 5, the strategy for India and beating that decade-long backlog. The reality for the single largest group of STEM applicants is, well, it's painful. An EB-2 NIW approval today for an Indian national doesn't mean you get a green card tomorrow. It actually means joining a line backed up all the way to January 1st, 2012. You're looking at an estimated wait time of 13 to 15 years. That entire green card benefit is essentially deferred for over a decade. But I want you to really look at the final point on this timeline. The elite EB-1 category, it has zero backlog for India right now. It is completely current. So here's the crucial, powerful porting strategy. How do we beat that 15-year wait? Just follow these steps. Step 1, file the EB-2 NIW immediately. Not to get the green card through EB-2, but just to hold your place in line. You're basically banking your priority date. Step 2, invest the next 12 to 18 months building an elite EB-1A profile. Go gather those independent citations, secure high-impact publications, and build some media coverage. Then, step 3, port that originally banked priority date over to the new petition once you qualify for EB-1A. You are effectively getting EB-1 processing speed on a much earlier EB-2 priority date. It is literally one of the smartest strategic moves you can make. Finally, Section 6, the global backup plan, the tri-country pathway. Consider this for a second. A STEM professional who invests 12 to 18 months in a structured profile development program is simultaneously building toward all three pathways. This is the really amazing part. As you're building that elite evidence architecture for the US NIW or EB-1A, gathering independent citations and expert letters, you are actually building a global safety net at the exact same time. Why? Because that exact same evidence portfolio is essentially what's required for Australia's National Innovation Visa, which actively targets sectors like AI, medtech, and clean energy. And it's the exact same portfolio needed for the UK's Global Talent Visa. You can literally leverage one meticulously built evidence architecture to apply for all three simultaneously. Talk about an incredible backup plan. Which brings us to our final thought. Look, your STEM credentials are unquestionable. You're out there doing the hard work every single day. But as we've seen throughout this explainer, raw talent and technical expertise are simply not enough in an environment where denial rates are skyrocketing. Success relies entirely on how you structure that evidence. You need the federal anchors, you need the independent citations, and you need a solid strategy to beat those backlogs. So the big question I want to leave you with today is this. You already have the expertise. Are you ready to start building your evidence architecture? Thanks for joining me as we mapped out this playbook, and I highly encourage you to start looking at your daily career outputs through this strategic lens.